calling the meeting to order.
1 second. Emmanuel, are you on? Just want to make sure that you can hear what we're doing.
We can see.
Yes, I'm here, I can hear.
Okay, there
Okay,
you go.
good. Just checking.
And Matt, you're there. Welcome. Have we heard, I haven't heard anything from, I talked to Todd earlier and he was expecting to be here. So I don't know where he is right now.
I have not spoken to Todd.
So I expect he will be here shortly. But at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and get started because there are things we can do before Todd gets here. I call to order the meeting of June 22nd. Present in the room
Have you lived here?
are Peter Bigelow, Joe Warren.
How long have you
Joining
lived
us on Zoom is Emmanuel Minnick, and we have numerous other guests joining us here this evening. First things first, we have minutes from the May 2021 meeting.
Motion to waive reading and accept them as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes are accepted.
Aye.
Property managers report.
Okay, I'll start with the Heights. So currently at the Heights, we have the dry vent cleaning taking place. So all the units are currently being cleaned out to take care of all the backed up vent stuff. We also ordered a new fence for the one-way driving. I just approved that, so that should be coming in hopefully very soon. All of the porch columns are just about 80 to 90% done, so that should make a lot of people happy. We also have our internal maintenance guys going around and cleaning out all of the HVAC systems for all of the apartments to make sure that those are running smoothly for the rest of the season. The club room is open. It is not available for private events just yet, but it is open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Can we let the illustrious Mr. McClutchy in? No, he can come in there.
You can come in.
Hang on, somebody's going to open it. Thank you very much. Todd McClutchy has just joined us.
And friend.
And friend.
Okay, and for the Royal, the club room is also open here at the Royal. The keys might not work just yet for the residents. I plan on having that fully functioning by the end of this week. And cable should be coming next week so that you actually have some cable to watch on the TV here. So hopefully that'll all be done very soon. And I actually have a meeting with the town next month to probably start some more town services where the town will actually come to the Royal maybe once a month to offer some more services to the residents.
Okay. Anything else? I have a couple of things that I'll bring up under new business when we get there. Okay, old business. You touched on the porch columns at the Heights. Those are being repaired and everything is moving on schedule. And we expect that that problem is in the rearview mirror. We've discussed it with the landscapers. We don't expect to have a recurrence of that problem. We do have to elect a resident commissioner. What's the current status on that situation?
So I sent an email just that I would like to host it possibly in August if you're all okay with that. The letters are ready. I just need to punch in the date and get the notices out. So if everyone's in agreement for August, I can get that done right away.
I think we're all in agreement. We want to get it done sooner rather than later. So,
Okay.
go right ahead and get it
All
done.
right.
And
Is there an outline of how it's going to be administered, just so everyone, we know who's doing what to do?
So what we actually plan on trying to reach out to some volunteers
Okay.
to see if they would come, like to just watch the ballots with us, but we're gonna host it right in the offices, here in the community room, at the Heights Community Room, go to the community room, drop off the ballot.
One other place you might want to, for volunteers, go to is the Darien Senior Men's Group.
Darien Senior Men's
Yeah.
Group.
yeah, the first place we said we'd go to is the registrar.
Right.
Yes, and that's what I have on my list too.
But just want to make sure we have a list of
Mhm.
backups because we want to get it done. So.
Okay, I'll start reaching out.
Okay. The old business, the Royal Sound Report. Mr. McClutchy, do you have an update for us?
I do.
We'd love to hear it. We can't wait.
So, yeah, no, we are continuing to work on the sound issue here. We have gone through quite a few steps in investigation of this. We've done a second test or mock-up in one of the unoccupied units. Somebody's out there tomorrow to test the results of that. We're under the impression that this mock-up is going to perform a lot better than the first one did. And once we get those results back, we'll report them to the group, and then we're going to figure out, implement a plan to then go in to address each of the units that has a sound transmission issue. So I would expect that by the middle of July is our goal to try to start addressing this at the property. And in between now and then, we're going to make sure that the residents are informed of the results that we get back and start getting advance notice of what we expect the remedial plan to look like.
Okay.
How's communication with tenants here going to be handled?
I think we'll probably host another meeting.
Okay.
In particular, we can have more one-on-ones. Crystal will have some of those one-on-ones for residents or individuals that are more directly affected.
Yep.
And then we'll go from there. So I think meetings, individual or group meeting, individual meetings, and then we'll support that all with a letter or memo that can be hand delivered and put under everyone's door.
Now, I don't want to jump the gun on this, but I do know there's some things that we do know already. And that is that, as I understand it, the intention of this remediation would be to do if everything works out the way we expect it to work out, we would do every other apartment rather than every apartment, because the type of soundproofing that's being considered does not need to be replicated. In other words, if I share a wall and I do this on one side of the wall, I don't have to do it on the other side of the wall. So we'll look at each of the apartments, the way the apartments are laid out, and make some decisions as to where the work is going to be done and how it can be done most efficiently. Not only efficiently from a building perspective, but from a tenant perspective, so that we cause the least possible disruption. But I want to lay the groundwork for letting everybody know that the type of thing we're looking at right now, there's no need to do it on both sides of the wall. You do one side, you don't need to do the other side. And of course, all of that's going to be tested out when we finish with the sample apartment, and know that that in fact it did what we thought it was going to do.
Right.
It's mostly where the kitchen and the wall, that's where you're going to do it, right? Where they're the back-to-back?
It's both. It's going to be the kitchen and the living room.
Uh-huh.
And everyone has a little bit different configuration, but it's mostly
I know they do it.
kitchen and living room. And then there's also bedroom to bedroom.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to address at least both of those at a minimum to make sure that those that are bedroom to bedroom or the living room to kitchen
It's
are
more,
getting fixed
in my
properly.
place, it's mostly in the living room. Not so much the bedroom.
Yeah, but again,
Some people snore, so they can't help it,
when we make the final analysis, we'll do it so that whatever the configuration is farther down the road, we've solved the problem. We don't want to have to, I don't want to look at what's going on today with the way people have configured their individual apartments. Who put the couch here, who put the TV here, who put the bed against this wall, who put the bed against that wall. And then 5 years down the road, we get a new tenant into that space and they decide to configure it differently.
That's true.
And we're back to square one again. That's not the objective. The objective is we've identified a problem, we've identified what the circumstances are around that problem, and we're identifying a solution. And the solution will be a one-shot deal. We'll come in, we'll do it, we'll fix it, and we'll be done. And farther down the road, 10, 15, 20 years from now, there should be no reason why somebody would come in and say, yeah, but you didn't do this here, you didn't do this here. We'll do everything we have to do to make sure that the solution corrects the problem. You know, because look, everybody uses their apartment differently. And everybody reacts slightly differently to the things that they hear around them. Now, I can tell you, I live here, so from personal experience, I happen to have the apartment right upstairs.
So do I. He's tap dancing, I think.
So I don't share walls in my living room and my bedroom with any other apartment because I'm out here on the end.
Mm-hmm.
Where I thought my apartment might have a problem was certainly this room presents no problem, but there is another apartment up above on the 3rd floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I question whether or not Patty and I are do we turn the television up too loud? Do we, when I yell at her, is it too loud?
She yells at you.
When that's the more likely scenario when she yells at me. But no, we know the other tenants and it is not a problem. So the problem is wall to wall, not floor to ceiling. And we'll address it appropriately. But again, I didn't want anybody going out of here thinking, well, how come they're not doing my apartment? Or how come they're doing my neighbor and not me? The kinds of solutions we're looking at.
What happened? Did they forget to put insulation in the walls?
No, there is just a defect in the wall design, and that's why we're going back in to address that design issue. But no, nothing was forgotten or anything like that. It just was not the proper wall design for this configuration, so that's why we're...
Yeah, because when you took the vents off, I could touch the next neighbour's wall. There was nothing in between.
Well, the vent should have a box in it.
No, when you took the vent off, all it was 2 strips of wood down there, about 6 inches long, and wet and red. And I could touch my next door neighbour's wall, and my bedroom wall.
That's a unique one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
again,
you won't be able to see that condition won't exist.
no, when we go, and again, keep in mind, when you remove the vent, when you take the panel off the vent, you're not in the wall, you're in the vent system. And so the fact that you
This
can...
wasn't an vent system. This was where all the white stuff was coming down off the plasterboard. And I could knock on my bedroom wall from the living room when that vent came off.
Within your unit.
Uh-huh.
Gotcha. Not your neighbor's.
Not my neighbors.
Understood.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
sorry. Within the unit itself, that's the way it's,
Uh-huh.
the air is transferred
Okay,
from place to place, from room to room.
okay.
So that's a normal condition. That was.
We're not, yeah, me too.
You're wondering what I was
We're
saying?
not, we do
I was
not, we do
No,
not
I
have,
was doing that, and that's how everything...
Between your living room and your bedroom, for
Yeah, because
instance.
that's all the stuff off the
Gotcha.
thing that was right down here at the very bottom.
Got it.
Yeah.
we do not have an expectation that we have adequate soundproofing between the bedroom and the living room within an apartment.
I know, I understand that.
If Patty decides to go to bed early and I decide to stay up and watch television, Patty should not have an expectation that she's not going to hear the television from the bedroom. However, Patty does have an expectation that I will put earbuds in so that she won't hear the television.
I've got earplugs.
But that's between Patty and I, this is not, you know. And as I said, every case is individual and people are going to deal with it individually. We all live different lifestyles. But know that we're working on the problem, we're looking for some results tomorrow. When we get results and when we're satisfied that the proposed solution actually solves the problem, we'll call a meeting for the tenants, we'll publish information, we'll keep you up to date, and then the next step is from that to develop a plan to implement the solution, and we'll keep you up to date on that and the timing, how that's all going to proceed. Any other comments or questions? Moving right along. Anything else under old business? Do we have anything under old business? Matt, you got anything I'm not aware of? Okay. Moving on to new business. What do you got for us?
I got the quote for EMS landscaping, I shared it with Matt. It's about a little under $600 a month to take care of that landscaping.
Okay, so what we're talking about when we say EMS landscaping, the town of Darien, the Darien Housing Authority owns the property that this building sits on and the property that the little white house next door to us sits on. There is an easement in the deed that allows the town the use of that building and 6 parking spaces. The town used to use it for community fund. They have now chosen to use it for the paramedic, and so that's why the ambulance is out there. But the town has not done, in our opinion, an adequate job of taking care of the gardens and cutting the grass. They do it whenever there's a crew available, but it's not a regularly scheduled maintenance issue. So we went to the town and said, let us do it, because when you come into our driveway, that's what you see. And that reflects on our building. And we did not want that to be the case. We wanted it to look the way our building was. So we've gone to the landscaper to get a quote on having them add that additional work to their current job. And we, the Darien Housing Authority, since we own the property, will take up the cost. Now, we didn't expect it to be quite that expensive, but the current quote in front of us is $600.
$560.
$560.
So does the town pay anything for that facility to us, or is it?
Includes additional work besides just mowing the restoration,
Yeah, I'll share the proposal with you so you can see it, because it's a lot of weed handling, it's a lot of.
Yeah, again, first of all, I have an expectation. I haven't seen the quote, so I don't know what all they're talking about. I personally have an expectation that that number's going to come down, because the first thing that has to happen is they got to bring that piece of property up to the standards that we have for this piece of property, which means there's a lot of weeding that has to go on, there's a lot of pruning that has to go on, because it just...
I think they're growing some kind of planting there, I don't know, there's a lot going on.
It just hasn't been maintained the way it should be maintained, and so to get it up to where this building is going to take a little bit of
A
doing.
little bit of money
And then
yeah.
when we look at the same work for next season, it will not be as much, because there won't, it'll just be routine maintenance. It won't
Did
be-
they, I would have the same expectation, but did they voice that, or any discussion indicate that the first season is going to be X, but the
He did.
subsequent seasons, it should come down and...
He did, he expressed that it's very bad, the weeds are very bad, that there's a lot of pruning that needs to happen, there's trees and planting that needs to come out, so it's expensive now because of that, because it just hasn't been taken care of for
Yep.
so long.
Okay, going back to my other question, so I take it the town, there is no financial reimbursement to the housing authority, they have an easement and they use the building and that's it.
That's correct.
Okay. Does that include maintenance of that building?
No, any maintenance that has to be done is on them.
Okay.
We're not going to do any maintenance on the building.
They haven't even asked or tried, so.
No, I understand it, but if they've done such a shoddy job taking care of the landscaping, my concern is that the building's not maintained. There's going to be other issues to take place at some point in time that will have collateral impact on this property.
The bottom line here is they need that building to provide the service that they wish to provide.
I understand that, but they also need to maintain that building so that they...
And if it comes to pass that they do not sufficiently maintain it to provide that service, then it's not just the town, it isn't the Board of Selectmen who bears the brunt of that. There's a health inspector, there's a building inspector, and these people will all be keeping an eye on that space to make sure that it is done appropriately.
Okay.
Because they have the authority to say, I'm sorry, you didn't maintain it, you can't use it. And if they can't use it, then they can't do what they want to do. And just so everybody knows, there is still an ongoing discussion. It's kind of a one-sided discussion, but there is an ongoing discussion about what we're going to do to get rid of that tent. Because I personally think that tent is inappropriate. We spent all this money building this beautiful building, and then they stuck that tent back out in the parking lot again. And I have approached it not only from the fact that I don't like the way it looks, but I've approached it from the fact that I think it represents a safety hazard, because every time the wind blows, pieces of that tent start flying around. And we should fix it properly. And just so everybody knows, when we built this building, when we, the Housing Authority, and our partners built this building, we offered to the town of Darien to build a garage for that ambulance. And we offered that that garage would match this building, or would match that house, but we would do it during the construction. And they hemmed and hawed, we'll get back to you, never got back to us. And then the parking lot got paved, and of course, you know, trying to do the work afterwards, it's going to cost twice as much. But be that as it may, that situation has not yet been resolved. My question to the commission is, are we willing to undertake, and do we believe it's appropriate for us to undertake the landscaping for the rest of the property? Comments?
I come back to, my concern in this whole thing is that the town's not taking that piece of property seriously. And, so first of all, they're violating town zoning by having the tent for the ambulance. They're probably violating some safety issues along the same line. They've not maintained the property effectively, and they're expecting others to just go a different direction. So I guess the zoning enforcement officer hasn't been out or hasn't sent any documentation to the town in Darien, not the housing authority, regarding that issue. And now we're in a position where they have a whole staff of people that can maintain it, and they're not going to do it. We're going to bear the brunt of that expense, and I think it should be a shared expense of some way. I don't think it's fair that they basically are taking the approach of, if they want that building to end up like Hollow Tree School and just falling apart, that's great, except for it's on a property that has tenants who are expecting that the ambiance, the neighborhood be maintained, and the safety be maintained. And they're not taking it seriously. And I have a problem with that. So short term, I don't think we have a choice, but we have to belly up to the bar, if you will, and pay the money. But clearly, the town of Darien is not taking their responsibilities to that piece of property the way they should.
Emmanuel, you got any comments?
Not at this point. I mean, it's a tough issue.
My feeling is that I agree with what Peter has said, and I believe that if we don't do anything, nothing will get done.
As I'm saying, I
Okay.
think we are stuck, we have to make a decision.
I
I just want to be on the record that it's,
I am of the opinion that if we take on the responsibility and the expense, it does a couple things. One, it gets the property in the condition that we would rather see it. So that's a step in the right direction. Number two, and this is a recorded meeting, I'm saying this in public. I don't want anybody to come back and say, no, that's not what he said, or that's not what he meant. I say it and I mean it. It gives us leverage, and I have no problem using that leverage to ensure that on a go-forward basis, things improve. If we're going to take on the responsibility, and oh, by the way, we made the offer to the town, and this was an offer that in essence, with the approval of the Housing Authority, cost the town nothing. And it took 3 weeks just to get an answer saying, okay, we accept your offer. So, no, am I happy about any of this? Absolutely not. Do I think we need to do it in an effort to maintain the atmosphere that we want here? Yes, I do. And do I think that farther down the road, we will use that as leverage with the town to make sure that they do some other things here? Absolutely. And I hope you know me well enough to know that I have no problem using that leverage. So, The chair will entertain a motion to approve the additional expenditure in landscaping costs to pick up the landscaping of the EMS building.
I'll make the motion with, for this year. We'll review it again next year.
We'll do it 1 year at a time.
Okay.
Emmanuel, do I hear a second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, what else we got under new business? A couple things. Number one, it has come to my attention, again, as a resident here, that of all the good things we did, and come on, folks, let's face it, we did a lot of really good things with this building. This is a pretty nice building. When you come off the elevator, you have no clue what apartments are located where. There isn't any indication that says, if you're looking for my apartment, go this way. If you're looking for my cousin Patty's, go that way. There's nothing. So I would respectfully request that we look into some signs that indicate what apartments are in what direction, so that because we have delivery people, we have services coming to the building, and they get off that elevator and they're standing there going, yeah, all right, where do I go now? So I would respectfully request that we look into what it's going to cost us and what has to be done to get some signs up, because I think it's significant that we don't have the signs. Second of all, a number of people have come to me with a request. I admit freely they've come to me with that request because they know I own a business here in town that deals with this type of thing, but people have asked whether or not we might consider putting a bird feeder outside the common room. And first of all, I can get the equipment and I can get it essentially for no cost to anybody, because I'll just write it off as a community event. Let me get the conversation started by giving you the ups and downs. It's great. We sit outside, we'd have a bird feeder, we'd be able to see the birds, and that's always pleasant and it would be nice. The downside, we would have to locate it far enough away from the building, somewhere down toward where the bus stop is, would be my guess, but we'd have to look out here so that we're not bringing birds so close to the building that they're making a mess with the furniture and all the rest of that stuff. Secondly, we'd want it far enough away that when the birds come looking for places to perch and to roost, they're not using the terraces of the second and third floor tenants and making a mess in those locations. And then the other issue that always comes up with multifamily situations when you put a bird feeder is that you run the risk of having birdseed fall on the ground and attract unwanted critters. Now, we can pretty much get around that because I will provide birdseed that doesn't have any shells on it, so you don't get that kind of mess on the ground underneath the bird feeder that would cause that kind of a problem. So I don't see that as a major issue. But the request has been made, and I'm putting it out for anybody to comment. What do you think?
Hang
on,
let me get the
Let me get
I think it's a great idea.
let me get the commissioners first, then I'll go to the public.
I think it's a tenant issue. I mean, if the tenants are in favor of it, I have no problem with it. But it should be, the tenants should all have a chance to opine on it. Because there may be some who have legitimate reason why they don't want it or will not want it here where they are. But I think it's really, it's fine as far as I'm concerned. It's really a tenant issue.
And Emmanuel, comments?
I don't have any on this one.
Okay. Todd, you got any?
Yeah, no, I absolutely like the idea. I just think that we just need to investigate it a little bit further to understand the maintenance of it and, any unintended consequences that may come with it, and that's what we just want to sort of vet. In addition to obviously hearing, what the residents' preference is.
Matt, comments?
I think with a resident bird expert, I think we'll be okay, but I agree with Todd, we need to just understand a little bit more maintenance-wise.
Okay. People in the audience, what do you think?
My feeling is that there's too much activity out there and the birds aren't going to really be interested with trucks and cars and,
Okay, I can answer that question because I think you all know where my store is. I'm on Ledge Road, on the corner of Ledge Road and Norotan Avenue. I have a railroad running
come
behind the
anyway?
store, and I have trucks coming off of I-95 onto Ledge Road all day, every day. And I have 2 bird feeders out there, we fill them every day.
okay. then I-
So we do not have a problem attracting
okay.
birds to come to the bird seat.
Because I've had birds for years, I love it, but I just thought it would be too much, but no,
They-
okay,
they-
great.
If we provide the right food in the right atmosphere, it doesn't bother them at all. Yes,
My question was why there? I mean, you've got a pretty big piece of property, couldn't you spread them out? I mean, this is not a tiny little piece of property that we're worried about, like one corner. You've got this whole thing, you bank over to the cars, you bank behind there. I mean, there's more than enough places. The idea is, yes, to enjoy the birds, but it's also a, positive for the birds who do get a bit hungry in the wintertime.
okay.
Yeah.
I would suggest that the next step in this would be to get a survey from the tenants. Let's see what everybody else has to
Yeah,
say.
because my only concern is, are we gonna have 1, or are we gonna start with 1 and end up with 5? Like, what is it that
What is
we're
it?
looking
What
to
do I want to put
do?
down?
That would be my concern,
My suggestion would be we start with 1
and stick with
and see
1.
how it goes, and then see what the issues are, what the problems are, what the problems
And we have
aren't.
to make it clear that it's a management thing and not a
Let's do
resident
this.
thing, where residents can then start to plant
Yeah,
their
but
own
we're gonna
birds,
That's
and
correct.
their
over
own
concrete.
flowers and their
Right.
own.
That's correct.
I agree with that, and I think that there probably
Not if
are
it's on
some
the
additional maintenance questions that the 2 of you should talk about,
Yes.
that you have expertise on, just to make sure that
But we do not be pooping all over the concrete.
I'm sorry?
The birds will be pooping all over the concrete.
Well, that's an issue, and I mentioned that. We'd have to look and see
Yeah,
what,
because I've got my door right there. I don't want birds pooping all over.
we'd have to understand where we would locate it to minimize any impact on the tenants.
Uh-huh.
And again, we have to find out what the tenants think.
Yeah.
We may have tenants in this building who are deathly afraid of birds and aren't going to want any part of this.
I see the birds flying here on the trees. In fact, I saw a couple cardinals. You can see them outside.
Yeah,
You know,
I hear them
they're-
every morning. When
Yeah.
I wake up in the morning, they're there. They're in the trees and they're out here.
Yeah.
The question is, we have this community room with the seating outside. A number of people have suggested, would it not serve us well to have something specifically located there? Again, to Peter's comment, this is not an open season. If we, the housing authority and the management of the facility decide to put something up, it is not open season for anybody who wants to hang a bird feeder off their balcony. That's not the purpose, and that's not going to be
Because-
allowed.
You'll get all the squirrels coming too.
Well, again, these are the kinds of things. I can take care of the squirrels. That's not a problem. I put seed out there with hot pepper mixed in with it that the squirrels just don't like.
Well, the squirrels came
My
down
business,
in
that's
the
what I
old
do.
place.
So,
Well, let's have a meeting, you and I, Joe, about this bird feeder.
You and I'll talk about it.
Take it
We'll
from there.
We'll put together a questionnaire
There
that
we
we
go.
can circulate and get some
Just find the way
additional
it is.
opinions, okay?
Okay, sounds perfect.
Lastly, we do not currently, at this facility, have an American flag.
Ah,
And I personally would like to see us have an American flag. My suggestion would be that we mount it on the column outside the door facing the post road. We would put it appropriately as you come out the door. It would be on the right-hand side because that's the appropriate location for a flag. It would be a bracket mounted to the column with a slanted pole and a flag. This is not a standalone. So my question again to the commission, is this something we could investigate?
I think that definitely.
Is there a problem? Anybody foresee a problem with that?
No.
Emmanuel, can we have your go ahead on that?
I don't see any issues with it. I mean, you, again, are the expert in this one. So I think it's just something that we'll play out, try one, see how it goes.
Matt, Todd, any concerns or complaints?
I'm all for it. I just want to take a look at it where a couple different locations of where it may go. I think the one that you're talking about probably makes the most sense, but again, I just want to take a look around and
Just so everybody knows, people who are new to the facility, before this facility came up, the old facility that was here had a flagpole and a monument along the post road out in front, a standalone pole.
Think they'll bring it back?
The concept that would come back is
Yeah,
absolutely
I know.
not going to happen.
I know.
It turned out that flagpole was very graciously accepted by the Spring Grove Cemetery Association, and it now resides at Spring Grove Cemetery. And if you stand on the post road by the medical building and look across, what you see is over to the right, the monument, the Soldiers and Sailors Monument in the Veteran Cemetery with a flag, and in the middle, the flagpole that we had placed there, and to the left, the flagpole with the Fireman's Monument. And so the three of them lined up there look very nice, and we've had lots of positive comments on it. And we have many people to thank for doing that, because it was done. A bunch of volunteers got together and moved it, repainted it, and reinstalled it at the cemetery. Did a marvelous job. But we can look at where we think this ought to go. Again, I'm thinking that if it were me, just one man's opinion, I'd put two up. I'd put one at the post road entrance, and I'd put one at the parking lot entrance. I'm not looking to overdo things. I'm willing to put one up on the post road. It would be a permanent installation. It would fly there all the time. And we'll discuss, unless somebody's got an
Would it
objection.
make sense to put a proper flagpole?
I'm sorry?
Would it make sense to put a proper flagpole?
To put a standalone flagpole? If we put what I'm suggesting on the column outside the front entrance, again, the cost to the housing authority is zero. If we go to put a standalone flagpole up somewhere along the property on the post road side, I'm assuming the post road because it would then be visible from most places, probably in the $3,000 to $5,000 range. To get it installed appropriately, we would have to go to planning and zoning to get it approved. If we just do what I'm saying, I go out there sometime later this week or early next week and do it. It's done. Matt, unless you got some comment.
No, I don't know the location where you're speaking of.
Yeah, it's not. So, all right, we'll move forward with that one. You got it, Todd. You and I will talk further down the road about the location. Anybody's got any comments, let me know. Okay, that's all I have. Anybody else have anything under new business?
I just have a question. The bench,
I'm sorry, hang on just 1 second. Because we're done with new business, and now we go on to the next subject on the agenda, and that is residents associations. Do we have any comments from the Heights? Hearing none. From the Royal, what's on your mind?
question, we have the bench outside, which is really great. Some people sitting at it. We have our friends from Prime, and not UPS, honestly, I think it's the Prime people, who throw the packages underneath the key to get in. And I just kind of think it's unfair. I mean, it doesn't bother me to lean down and pick up some stuff. But I think you've got some older residents here. I mean, I picked up boxes on Saturday because the weather was becoming inclement. And one of them was kind of heavy. And there are people who can't lift all the way down there, get them up and tote them in. Can we not put a table out there? So that if the people from Prime insist on throwing things, they can at least throw them at table height, where people that are coming in can manage them. I mean, besides the fact that I don't know why they can't get themselves through the front door, everyone else seems to be able to. But they seem to have a skill lacking in that area.
You know, they have a company that reprimands them if they don't get their shipments done by a certain time.
Is that what it is?
They don't get out of the trade.
So they're just standing
Anything they can do to make it go fast.
Yeah.
Right.
Fast.
Yeah. I just don't think it's fair for the receivers.
I hear you. Again, I don't know, this is something we'll have to talk over with management. My personal concern is if we put a table out there, there's no way to control what gets put on the table. And human nature being what human nature is, we're going to find more stuff on there that we don't want on there than it actually serving the purpose that we want it to serve.
Right.
I would think the first step we want to take is a discussion with the Prime, the people from Prime who do the deliveries, and there's no reason why they can't come in, and we have a mail area there where, and the guys from UPS do it, and they do it properly. And so this is just a question of talking to the right people to make sure they understand.
Whoever it is, it's obviously probably not UPS, because they either throw it underneath the entry key, or they get in as far as the door and throw it on the floor. They don't even bother to put it on that
No.
that bench.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I just
This
think
is
that
quick, and get out of here.
Yeah,
And that's, as far as we're concerned, unacceptable. We will reach out and see if we can figure out who the people are that are causing the problem. And try to resolve it that way before we start putting additional.
yeah,
At
it was after 3 on Saturday, because I took a picture of it with my camera.
At one point, there was a bin out there. I don't know where it came from last long. And again, anytime you put something that can accumulate stuff, it tends to accumulate stuff, and invariably it accumulates things you don't want. You know, we're doing everything we can to keep people from coming here to specifically target our residents. Would I be shocked if we put a table out there and 2 days later there was a stack of please take one, and the next thing you know they're blowing all over the place? And so I think there are other ways. I'd like to at least examine taking other approaches before we do that. Yes?
One idea might be, Amazon has this system called Amazon Lockers, where they, what they have in some businesses and stuff, where they give you a lockbox, and then they send a code to the person whose package it is. And they can just come and get their thing, so maybe that's an option, and maybe that would force the Amazon deliverers to put them in the dedicated space that we made.
Yeah, and again, we need to find out who the offenders are before we really know what the solution is. So we'll
And some of the Amazon packages I see in the mail, I get, I've seen them outside and I've seen them in the mail. So it's very much hit or miss.
I take pride in this building, so if I'm walking in and I see an envelope there, I pick it up and bring it in and put it in the mailroom.
Me too.
Just because I do. But I realize not everybody can do that. And so we need to address the issue. It's an issue and we should address it. We'll look into it. We'll see if we can identify who the people causing the problem are.
Yeah, because I provided a quote to all the delivery drivers, so that's why most of them get in.
It's not about who can, it's about who takes the
Who's
time.
doing it, right?
And unfortunately for these people, there's no consequence. If we don't say something, then there's no consequence. And I'm not sure what it is, what consequence we can put in place. But we'll think about it.
The one thing I've also noticed is when Amazon leaves a package outside and they send me an email confirmation, lots of times they'll have a picture of where they left the package, so maybe if the people who get their packages left outside respond to customer services and say, I got my package, but I don't appreciate it being left outside, that might be another way to help control,
Well, again, if people will tell us when it happens, what happens, let management know, we can approach the problem to try to find out. Listen, anybody who spends any time by the front door realizes there's dozens and dozens of people who come and go in this building. And of all those people, 99% of them treat the building with a certain amount of respect. And you got that 1% who just, the rules are not meant for me. And that's a problem, and that's a problem in any situation. So we'll figure out a way to address the problem.
Why can't they go on the telephone and just press the button and tell the people their package is here?
They can.
They can.
They can do that.
Crystal's given all these delivery people a code. They don't
Yeah.
even have to go to a specific apartment. They can punch in a code and have the door open for them. It's not what they can do, it's what they don't want to do.
They don't want to do it.
They're quick, I gotta get out of here in a hurry, and it's easier for me if I just dump it and go.
I tell you, that's supposed to, when I lived down the other place, when I left here, they used to call me and tell me they're outside, get the package.
We'll put a Ring doorbell out there, videotape the guys that are, who are the offenders.
And even through email, a lot of them, you'll get an email that your package has been delivered, and then you know to
Yeah, right.
get out and look for it.
That's great, except I'm at work. And my package is sitting out in the front yard. It's not where it's in the building, At any rate, we're aware of the problem. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. We'll address it. We'll come back next month and tell you what we're doing. See if there's some ways we can do it. I know this is going out publicly, and I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying. Okay? I'm not a particularly violent person. I'm just not. But in my world, the next guy I find leaving something out there without bringing it in, we shoot him. You only have to shoot one. The word spreads so fast. They have a very low tolerance level for this kind of behavior. You can't, I know. But I'm just saying, it's a very small number of people who cause the problem. And yet, it affects everybody when they do it.
It's just overkill.
Anything else? Does anybody else have anything going on that I'm not aware of that we should be aware of before we adjourn? Yes,
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Todd something.
go ahead. He's
I
there.
know I must be a pain, I'm sorry.
No.
See that switch, it turns off that fan up there.
Okay.
Mine stays on all the time. I know it's not my electricity getting used,
Correct.
but it takes all the coolness out of the room. And when the heat's on, I'll take all the heat out. It stays on continuously.
And that's the way it is designed, and it's supposed to continuously run to
But hers goes off.
It should not be off, and there should be no way for it to be controlled within the unit.
Yeah, it's controlled in the unit.
You talking about the one right
have
by
I
the
not-
front door? You talking about the one right by the front door?
I can't hear you from my bag unit.
The one right by the front
The
door?
one right by the
Yeah.
front door.
And to the left side, there's two
Yes.
switches, one for the light and one
Uh-huh,
for one of the
yeah.
fans. Remember you explained it to me?
No,
I'm
mine,
talking about that one?
no, it doesn't work, that
Oh,
switch.
okay.
It just stays on continuously and it's so loud at night
We
time.
can tell them what it go, so we can identify
All right,
exactly
yeah,
what we're
let's-
talking about. Let's
I'll
have-
get them on the.
We'll have Tom come up and take a look at it and see, so we define exactly
Well,
what
you
we're
know,
talking about.
remember your father went over and turned the switch on and off and it didn't work?
My father was here?
Yeah, your father was in my apartment. Was that your father? Yeah, in my apartment one time.
It might have been somebody else, but yeah.
I'm not in any way, shape, or form getting involved in that conversation.
No, your father. I thought you said that was your father.
I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid.
I don't think he's been here, but
Well,
Either way,
I don't know who it was, but
Yeah.
they turned the switch on and off, and when you go off.
We'll have maintenance come up and take a look at it, and then we'll define exactly what switch we're
Oh my
talking about.
goodness, it's driving me crazy.
I understand, I get it. Let's find out what we're talking about and get it fixed.
agreed.
Okay, we'll get it fixed. Certain things should work certain ways, and if they're not working the way we intended them to work, we need to know that, and we'll fix it.
I must have the apartment in Jack built, let me tell you.
Anybody else, questions, comments, anything else, something I left out?
No, that's all.
In that case, the chair will entertain a motion to end the public session and go into executive session for the purpose of speaking about contract and tenant issues.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for attending.
Thank you.